I want to talk about on-page SEO and how to optimize your website for Google and the other search engines. So I want to first start off with what is on-page SEO. Then I'll talk about why it's important to optimize your website. And then I'll show you some strategies that I use to actually help myself get more traffic and my clients get more traffic to their websites using on-page SEO. And then we'll do some Q&A. So if you do have any questions about any of the slides, you can let me know. But if there's anything specific that you have a question to, just hold it off until the end, and I'm happy to cover as many questions as we can get through. So for today, really want to focus on on-page SEO. So if you're not familiar with on-page SEO, there's on-page SEO and off-page SEO. So on-page SEO is going into your website, whether it's like WordPress or Shopify or Wix or Squarespace or whatever platform you're on. It's going into that platform and making changes to the coding where Google looks and the search engines look. So on-page SEO is going in, optimizing your website. Off-page SEO is anything that's not affecting your website. So let's say we had an article published on Forbes.com. Forbes.com is not part of your website. So if you have an article published on Forbes, that's helping out with your SEO, but it's not on your website. It's not affecting how your website looks and feels. So it's called off-page SEO. So off-page SEO is, again, like social media would be off-page SEO, like having a Facebook page or Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all that stuff is off-page SEO because it's not affecting how your website looks and feels. It's not going into the coding and making changes. On-page SEO, you're going into your website, making changes in the coding where Google looks. So there's two different aspects of SEO, on-page and off-page. On-page SEO, you do it one time and you're pretty much done. You don't have to do it again. So you're going to go into your website, which I'll show you how to do it, optimize your website, put all these different keywords in different areas that Google's looking for. And once you're done with that, you're done. There's not much more that you have to optimize on your website. Unless you start adding new pages on your website, then you want to add or optimize those pages. Or if you add new products on your website or new blog posts, you'd want to optimize those pages, but that's just optimizing one individual page that you're adding. So on-page SEO, you do it, you're done. It's off-page SEO that you're never really done with off-page SEO, like social media. You're never done with social media. You're always constantly updating it, joining new social media groups because there's or social media channels that keep emerging, like TikTok and all these other ones that keep popping up. So off-page SEO, it's never really done. You're always going to be working on off-page SEO. On-page SEO, you do it one time and you're done, and you can kind of sit back and relax and focus on the off-page SEO. Both of these are really important. You need to optimize your website, putting keywords in the right areas. That way Google better understands what your website is about. So that would be on-page SEO, and I'll touch more on that later. But off-page SEO, it's important because Google doesn't really trust what you put on your website. Because nowadays with all these different platforms like WordPress and Shopify and Wix and Squarespace, it's easy enough to build a website. And I could build a website saying, I'm a doctor in Los Angeles, or like I'm a dentist in Los Angeles. Google doesn't want to just send people to my dentist office without really knowing, is Brandon really a dentist, or is he just trying to trick people and scam them? Because there's a lot of people online that are scamming people, and Google doesn't want to show those search results. So you really have to build trust to Google, and Google know you are who you say you are, which is off-page SEO. The more third-party sites that Google sees talking about your website, the more trust Google's going to have in your website. So on-page and off-page SEO work hand in hand. You need to do both. It's really, really important. You can't just do one and have rankings. You need to do on-page and off-page SEO. And that is why I want to cover today on-page SEO. Even though on-page SEO I feel is not as important as off-page SEO, it still is very, very important. But the off-page SEO, that's the part that really has the most trust that Google will put into your website. And Google does not trust anybody. So any way to build trust is going to help get you more rankings from Google. But Google also needs to see that keywords are in the right areas to understand what your website's about. So that's on-page SEO. So have to do both aspects, but I just want to kind of talk about that before I jump into on-page SEO, is just letting you know the difference, because they are really important to know the differences on-page and off-page, and knowing what they are and how to best optimize your content or your website for both aspects. So why is this important? So on-page SEO is very important because this is what Google looks to read your website or to understand what your website is about. Google or search engines go around reading websites, and they're reading the content on your website to better understand what your website is about. So they're reading all that content, the keywords that you're putting in there, and that's helping them really decipher what your page is about. Because the search engines, they're not that smart. A lot of people give them more credit than they deserve. I mean, search engines are definitely amazing and help out in life a lot, but they are just robots and algorithms, and they are not that smart yet. So you really need to spoon feed Google as much information as possible. And that's really the on-page SEO, is they're reading all this information and trying to decipher what your website is about. Keywords help them better understand what your page is about. So by putting keywords in different areas, this helps Google better understand and relate to, and better understand what your website is about. And this shows relevance to Google, that if someone's searching for your keywords and you have those keywords on your website, you must be somewhat related to that question or whatever that person is searching in Google. So these keywords help show relevance to Google. There's a lot of different places to put these keywords, but we'll go into that in a minute. But ultimately, if Google's better, or if Google's able to understand and better read your website, this is going to get you more traffic from Google, because now Google's going to start showing you in more different search results for different keywords, and that's going to get people clicking on your website from Google. So on-page SEO, it's not going to get more traffic to your website. It's going to get you ranking higher in Google, which is going to get you more traffic to your website. So ultimately, on-page SEO is just to really help the search engines, which is primarily Google nowadays, better understand what your website's about. So here is a slide with a lot of information on it. There's a lot of different aspects that go into on-page SEO, and I don't have time to cover all of them. And I try to tell people, don't worry too much, because it's like a puzzle. Like with SEO, it's like a puzzle. You want to put all the pieces together, but some pieces are a lot bigger than others. So I'll kind of talk about some of the more important aspects of on-page SEO, but there are a lot of different elements that go into on-page SEO. You see like the website design, how you designed your website, because this is what Google's looking at, is your website, the site structure, like how you set up your website, like your categories, subcategories, or products, collection pages. You want to make it have a hierarchy, have some sort of structure. There's a site map that helps Google better find all the pages on your website. So as you can see, there are a lot of different aspects, but some, again, are more important than others. So don't think you have to do everything. I mean, ultimately, you want to do it all. That's going to really get you the most traction, but you want to kind of start off on the more important things and focus on that and work your way down. Otherwise, it does become a little overwhelming looking at all this stuff. But for today, I want to talk about website speed and how that's important for SEO or on-page SEO, because Google even said a few years ago that speed is part of their algorithm. So Google usually doesn't tell you what they're looking for. They usually tell you, don't do this. They don't really tell you what works for SEO, because they don't want you to do SEO. They want you to kind of get frustrated and give up and just run ads and run paid ads. That's how they make all their money. So Google doesn't really help out too often, but every once in a while, they will let you know some things that do actually help out with SEO, like page speed. The faster your website loads, the happier Google's going to be, because it's going to be a better user experience for everybody. Like for people, like users, people going on your website, they don't want to wait for your website to load in 5 seconds. That's not a good user experience. So Google knows that a slow loading website, people are going to be mad at that or not happy. Like if you're searching on Google and you click on that #1 result and it takes 5 seconds to load, you're probably going to hit that back button. And Google knows that. So they don't want you hitting that back button. They want you to find what you're looking for and then use Google again to find more things that you're looking for, and hopefully click on ads, and then they're making money. But they don't want you to find something that's not what you're looking for. They don't want to post a web or rank a website that's slow loading or doesn't have a good user experience. So website speed is actually part of their algorithm, and the faster loading websites will actually rank higher, especially for mobile. Think about mobile. Like if you're on a mobile device and it loads in a few seconds, you're just going to hit that back button. You're on the go. You have your cell phone. You don't need to sit there and wait for it. So, and there's 10 other websites on that first page of Google for you to select from. So there's plenty of other options if that website loads slowly. So just be aware that it is going to affect your users, and it will decrease the bounce rate, meaning bounce rate is how many people have come to your website and left immediately. The higher the bounce rate, meaning the more people have left your website. And usually websites will have about 50% of the people that come to your website leave immediately, either because it loads slowly or they're not finding the content that they're looking for, or there's a lot of variables that go into that bounce rate. But a faster loading website will actually decrease that bounce rate, keep people on your website longer, and ultimately that's going to lead to people making purchases. Whatever your conversion goal is, calling you up, emailing you, signing up for a newsletter, whatever it may be. And there's a lot of different tools out there to test your page speed. So I mean, you might be wondering, like, how do I know what my speed is, or what should my speed be? I would use these different tools. Google PageSpeed Insights is a free tool from Google. I would trust that first. But then there's some other tools like Pingdom and GTmetrix. These three tools are probably the holy grail of on-page or website speed optimizations and checking your speed to make sure your website loads quickly. So what I would do is I would recommend everyone later on today go into Google PageSpeed Insights, Pingdom, and GTmetrix, and throw your website URL in there. And these tools will show you exactly what needs to be optimized to get you a faster loading website. So they'll go into your website, they'll look at how fast it loads, and they'll tell you what's working or what's not working. So if anyone has a website URL you want me to check, if you want to throw it in the chat, I'll show you how we could use one of these tools to actually see the speed and measure it according to Google. So I would first start with like page. So if I just go into Google and type in PageSpeed Insights. So if you do have a URL, if you want to throw it in the chat. So I see Mariam through an angem.co.uk. So we can see right now I search on Google. So I search on Google for PageSpeed Insights, and Google shows me right here how fast their search engine loads the websites. Again, Google prides himself on having a fast loading website. If their search engine took 2 seconds, 3 seconds to load, you're probably going to go on Bing or Yahoo or DuckDuckGo or another search engine. So Google knows they need to have fast loading websites or a fast loading website for a better user experience. So they also want you to have a fast loading website as well. So if we go to PageSpeed Insights from Google, you can put any URL in here. It doesn't matter what it is. You can put Facebook in here, you can put Google in here, you can throw any URL in here, and it will show you what needs to be optimized. And then you just take this on to your web developer and have them optimize it. A lot of this stuff is going to be programming, kind of technical stuff. So you might need a programmer, web developer to help you fix some of these changes. I mean, I don't really know how to fix a lot of this stuff. A lot of this is like removing unused JavaScript and CSS and all this other really technical stuff. So again, I would just share this URL with the web developer and let them know, here's my score. I'm getting a 13 out of 100. So you can see there's some room to improve it. And if you scroll down, it will tell you what needs to be optimized right here. It says eliminate render blocking resources, 5.92 seconds. That's a lot. Reduce initial server response time, 4.39 seconds. Removed unused CSS, avoid multiple redirects. And it goes on with all these technical optimizations that you want to optimize to make your website load faster, because the faster it loads, the better your user experience will be. So right now we can see I'm on mobile right here. If I click on desktop, it will show me how much or what my speed is on desktop. Desktop and mobile are different. Mobile is very different than desktop, and usually mobile has a worse score. I mean, I'm looking at these for hundreds, maybe thousands of clients over the years. Most people don't get a high score on mobile. Desktop, they usually do a lot better. So we can see desktop, you're getting a 44, mobile, you had a 13. And again, this is not the biggest deal. Don't freak out and worry if you have a low score. Again, SEO, this is like a puzzle. You want to put all the pieces together. This is just one piece of the puzzle, and it's not gonna make or break you. It is gonna help users once they get on your website, have a better user experience, and have them actually convert into whatever your goal is, calling you, emailing, signing up on your form. But here, again, it shows you on desktop what needs to be optimized to have a faster loading website. And then I would also check Pingdom and GTmetrix. These three tools, they're all going to show you slightly different information, and this is what I would just give to your web developer and say, hey, can you help fix this? Can you optimize my speed? I'm not a programmer, so I don't know how to fix a lot of these changes. Usually images are also another big reason why your website loads slowly. It doesn't look like it here, but usually if you have lots of images on your website, or let's say you upload some really high definition images on your website. Let's say you upload a 10,000 by 10,000 pixel image on your website, but when we're on your website, you're only showing a 300 by 300 pixel image. You don't need to upload that high definition image because that's actually slowing down your website. Also, deleting old images off your website. So like, let's say you have old logos and you never deleted them from your website. In the back end of your website, those images are still there. Even though on your website, it shows the new logos, if you didn't delete them from the back end of your website, the FTP, the file manager, those images are still going to be there, and that's going to be slowing down your website. So delete old images, shrink images, or condense images to the size that they need to be. There's tools that will help you actually minify images, so it actually reduces how many megabytes or gigabytes they are, and it'll just help optimize it. But there are a lot of different things that can be causing speed, and every website is going to be different. So just use this tool, check it out, and you can see here's what the scores are. 0 to 40 or 0 to 50 would be poor, 50 to 90 is average, and 90 to 100 is great. But you don't need to get 90 or 100. I mean, that's going to be a website that has no images, there's no videos, it's just text, and you don't need to have it perfect. I would just really shoot for like average, like getting it to like 60 to 80 would be good, 60 to 70. You don't have to have it perfect. Again, this is just one piece of the puzzle. And with SEO, again, with SEO, it would be great to have it 100 out of 100, but we're not trying to beat Google. I always have to tell people, we're not trying to beat Google's algorithm. Like, beating Google's algorithm would be amazing, but it's not possible. Google changes their algorithm every single day. So anyone that says they know how Google's algorithm works, tomorrow it's going to change and they're not going to know what Google's looking for. And again, we're not trying to beat Google's algorithm. That's not possible. What we are trying to do is outrank the people on that first page of Google. So whoever's on that first page of Google for your keywords, those are your competitors. And this is who we have to do more SEO. We have to do better SEO than they're doing. So what I would do is take your competitors, throw them into these tools and see what scores they get. And that's going to let you know what score you need to get to do better than them, because we're not trying to beat Google. That's not the case. It would be amazing if we could, but we're really just trying to outdo those people on that first page of Google. And when I'm talking about competitors, I mean, who's on that first page of Google? That is your competition. Just because online and offline, like let's say you're a restaurant in Los Angeles, you have a lot of restaurants that are your competitors offline, but online, how many people are on that first page of Google? That's really who you're trying to outrank. So when we're talking about competitors, search in Google, see who's on that first page, and that's who you want to throw into these tools to see what they're doing to get those rankings. So website speed, check it out using those different tools. And here, as you can see, Target got an 85 out of 100. So they're not getting 100 out of 100. And you don't need to beat Google. You just need to do better than your competitor. So if you're trying to beat Target, you need to do better than Target. But again, just search in Google, see who is your competition and see what scores they're getting. And that's going to let you really know what you need to do to outrank them and to have a better loading, quicker, faster loading website. So website speed, Google actually said that was part of their algorithm. Now I'm going to want to talk about mobile friendliness, making sure you have a mobile friendly website. Google also said this is part of their algorithm. So usually, again, Google doesn't really tell you when things work for SEO. Usually they tell you what not to do, but these two things, speed and mobile friendliness, actually Google said are part of their algorithm, and they actually announced that and told people that. So make sure that your website is mobile friendly, because Google separated mobile and desktop algorithms a few years ago. So when we're searching on mobile, it's going to be completely different than when we search on desktop. So if I search on my computer right now for SEO company in Los Angeles, it's going to be different if I have my cell phone and type in that same keyword, SEO company in Los Angeles. The reasoning is websites look different on mobile than on desktop. And if your website is not mobile friendly, Google doesn't want to show you on those mobile searches because it's not going to be a good user experience. It all comes back down to user experience. If you, let's say you're searching on Google on your cell phone and you click on a website and you have to really zoom in and it's not mobile friendly, it's not going to be a good user experience. You're just going to hit that back button and go to the next website. So you really need to make sure that your website is mobile friendly and optimized for mobile, because also mobile is taking over desktop usage. When I look at analytics, about 60% of the traffic comes from mobile, and it keeps growing and growing. I mean, it's not really slowing down. Mobile is just increasing. More and more people are getting access to smartphones. and everyone is on the go nowadays, and it's a lot easier to just pick up your phone, do a search, versus having a computer in front of you. You don't always have a computer in front of you, but you almost always have that cell phone in your pocket nowadays. So mobile is growing and growing, and I highly recommend anyone that is looking to build a new website, make sure you build it mobile first, desktop secondary, just because the majority of your traffic is going to come from mobile nowadays, and you want to make sure it looks good on mobile. Even if you're selling high ticket items and you know that nobody's going to buy on mobile, still people are going to find you on mobile, and then they're probably going to go onto their computer to actually make that purchase. But the majority of the people still nowadays will find you on mobile, and then they'll make that purchase on desktop when they could actually do more research, look at your reviews, maybe do some competitor research on pricing. But really, it all starts off on mobile nowadays, or majority of the time it starts on mobile, and then the conversions happen on desktop. But every website is different, so this is not the means, and I'm just giving you an example, and then you know, for more luxury type of products, that even though people wouldn't be buying it off mobile, they still are going to be finding you, and then they're going to be searching on desktop to make that purchase. But when you are building a website, make sure it is easy to navigate. I mean, I see a lot of mobile-friendly websites that just have a cluttered navigation. There's too many drop-down menu buttons, too many options, and too many options means overload for the user, and they don't know where to click, and they're probably just going to go back. So less is better, simple, easy to navigate. That is really the main thing, is making sure it's simple, easy to navigate. Don't have it cluttered. Make sure it looks good on all devices also. That's also really important, because when we're looking on the iPhone versus the Android phone versus Pixel versus all these other phones, the Galaxies, all these phones look different. They have different size screens. Some screens have buttons on them, some don't have buttons. So you have to really make sure your website looks good across all mobile devices, because if it doesn't look good on the iPhone 10 and you didn't know it doesn't look good on the iPhone 10, but looks good on all the other iPhones, you're losing out on a lot of traffic from people that are using that iPhone that it's not compatible with. So you got to make sure that it looks good across the board on all the devices. This also holds true for making sure that your website looks good on desktop, on the different browsers like Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, Mozilla, or Firefox, Mozilla, Safari, Opera. You want to make sure that your website looks good on all of those different platforms or browsers, because each browser is going to make your website look slightly different. Just like all mobile devices are going to make your website look slightly different. So you want to check it and make sure it looks good across the board on all devices. And luckily, there is another free tool from Google that will actually show you if your website is mobile friendly or not. So Google does really help out with this stuff, because they know having a mobile friendly website is going to be a better user experience for people coming on, searching on Google, and that's going to get you more traffic, and it's a win-win situation for everyone. Google is getting better quality content on their search engine for them to show to the people searching, and you're getting more traffic because you've optimized your website for mobile devices. So this tool, it's called the mobile friendly test. So if I go searching Google, mobile friendly test, this will pop up. And I'm not sure if anyone has a website you want to throw in the chat. Oh, I see Vivian threw in exceptional HC. So search in Google for mobile friendly test. Click on that first one, and here is the mobile friendly tool from Google. Throw your URL in here. You can throw in any URL again, but you really want to check your website. I guess Google put up a CAPTCHA because we've been checking this a little too much, and they want to make sure that we really are people and not just robots checking for SEO or other tools that might be out there. But got to get through all these CAPTCHAs. Sorry. All right. Made it through. Google doesn't want me to check to make sure my website's mobile friendly or not. So they put up that CAPTCHA to make it a little tricky, but we got in, and now we just wait for Google to show us the results. And Google's going to say yes or no. Either they're going to say, yes, your website's mobile friendly, or no, your website's not mobile friendly. And if it's not mobile friendly, they're going to tell you exactly what needs to be done to make it mobile friendly. So just like the website speed, you'd give that to your web developer. If your website's not mobile friendly, you just give this report to your web developer or programmer, and they'll go in, make the changes to make sure your website is mobile friendly. Because if your website's not mobile friendly, they're not going to show you on mobile devices. So here we can see page is mobile friendly. You got the green little check mark, so you're good to go. If it was red and said page is not mobile friendly, then we need to go in and fix it. But here we could see the preview of the website. So maybe it's not looking the best. It looks like there's some broken images here. Maybe Google is having trouble reading it, even though they say it's mobile friendly. So this is where you just want to double check, make sure it looks good on all devices, make sure it's not just a fluke. Maybe Google's not looking at this properly. Maybe we do want to do a new search and check again. But right now you can see in the preview, it doesn't look like it's, or it looks like there's some missing elements. So you might want to go in and fix that, but you are mobile friendly. So that is a good sign. But the thing is with this tool, I've seen a lot of websites that are mobile friendly, but when we test it in here, Google says you're not mobile friendly, and they might say that your fonts are too small or that your colors are too close to one another. So Google gets pretty picky with some of the on-page or the mobile friendly tool checker. So you really just want to make sure that you pass it, that you are mobile friendly, that there's no issues with it, and yeah, that you're good with that mobile friendly test. Because if you're not mobile friendly, they're not going to show you on those mobile devices, and that's going to be a significant hidden traffic, where again 60% of the traffic nowadays will come from mobile devices. So just check that tool, and you check it one time, and if you're good, you should be fine. You're not going to really have to use this tool over and over again to check to make sure your website's mobile friendly. And here you could see an example, like we checked target.com, it says page is mobile friendly, it's green, good to go. If it was red, then we have some errors, and we have to go in and make those changes to help Google better understand what your website's about. Because if it's not mobile friendly, Google is not going to have the best time crawling it and reading your website. So they need you to make it use mobile friendly to help them better read it. And mobile friendliness is also called responsive. So having a responsive website, meaning it conforms, it adjusts to whatever screen you're on. If you're on the computer, it'll look good on the computer. If you're on a tablet, it'll look good on a tablet. If you're on the cell phone, it'll look good on the cell phone. It just adjusts. But you still need to check with that tool. And one other one that I want to talk about today is having a blog on your website. So blogging on your website is pretty important for SEO, because a company blog helps you get more traffic to your website, or helps you add more content to your website. The more content you add to the website, the more keywords you can rank for, and the more times you could show up in the search results. So blogging on your website, I would try to blog once or twice a month. You don't have to go overboard, and you don't have to blog every single week, but once or twice a month is really sufficient, because blogging only takes you so far. It's a lot better to take these blog posts and post them on other people's websites for SEO purposes to get a backlink. But that is a whole nother topic, where building backlinks is a big part of SEO, and blogs are great ways to build backlinks. So, but that is a whole nother topic. But for today, I want to talk about updating your blog on your website, updating your company blog. Update it once or twice a month. That's sufficient. You don't have to go updating it all the time. Put yourself in the user's point of view, though. If you are reading your blog, or let's say you came to your website and you were trying to read the content, if it's all promotional, you're going to lose trust and lose credibility really fast. So make sure it's more informational. Give them good content, give them ideas, give them topics. Again, put yourself in the user's point of view and think about what would you want to see if you were looking for your product and service. If you're just talking about why you're the best, that's not really what a blog post should be. It should be more informational, maybe like what you're doing behind the scenes, how you're building products, or how you operate your services, or whatever you want to throw in there. But just make sure it's not all promotional, because you're going to lose trust really fast from people. And you want to make sure that you add social sharing buttons on your blog post. So you want to make sure you could have people, like when you're on blog posts, a lot of time we'll say, share this on Twitter, share this on Facebook, share this on LinkedIn, share this on Pinterest, or whatever platforms you want to share. But you want to add these social sharing buttons, because let's say I read your blog post and I really like your blog post and I retweet it. My Twitter has 50,000 followers. That's 50,000 new eyeballs that could potentially see your content. And you didn't even know about that just by having someone retweet it, or if they like it on Facebook and have a big following. All that stuff can be or to help you go viral. So you never know who's reading your content and who's going to share that content. So you want to make it easy for people to share that content. Make sure your social sharing buttons are easy to see. Have it on Facebook and Twitter are like the main ones. But if you're using Pinterest, show Pinterest. If you're using LinkedIn, you could have LinkedIn. And every website is different, so you don't need to be on all the platforms, but you need to be where your audience is at. So you want to have the appropriate social sharing buttons for people to share it to their audience to help you get more visibility and more exposure and new eyeballs on your content. And the one thing that I do really like to do with my social media, or with my blog posts, is cross promote it and share my content on social media sites. So anytime I post a blog post on my own website, I make sure my blog post gets shared on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Pinterest, and wherever other platforms are relevant. If it's a video, I could share it on YouTube, but I want to cross promote my content to get more visibility, more eyeballs on it. And you can do that manually, but I really like to automate that. The more you can automate with digital marketing, the better, the easier life is going to be. And you don't want to be sharing every single time you update your blog. You don't want to have to manually share it on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and so on and so on. So I would use these different tools to automate it, like IFTTT.com. So IFTTT.com is a free website, and it stands for if this, then that. So if I post on my blog, then share it on Facebook. If I post on my blog, then share it on LinkedIn. So it sets up all these rules, or recipes is what they call them, and that's going to help really automate and save you a lot of time, a lot of headaches of having to manually do this, which I do not recommend. I mean, initially you want to start off doing that, but the more you automate, the more time you're going to save, the more time you could actually invest in your business on the more important, higher level things. So take care of all this stuff and then just cross off the list, and you never have to worry about cross-promoting your social or your blogs to your social media sites. And IFTTT.com will actually share it on like all these different places. It will share it on Reddit, it'll share it on it'll share it on, like, when I post on my own blog, my blog post gets sent to like, I think 10 to 15 different places, all automated, never have to do it manually, just one click of a button, it just goes out to all over the place. So IFTTT.com, great website, helps cross promote your content to all your different social media sites, social networking sites, and a lot of other sites as well. It's a great tool and helps save a lot of time. So blogging is going to really get you more traffic, get you more content, more pages on your website, more keywords you can rank for, and ultimately more rankings in Google means more traffic to your website. So make sure you set up that blog, cross promote it to your social media channels, and write good content. And so that is all I have for today. So I'll open up to some Q&A right now. If anyone has any questions about anything in regards to SEO, digital marketing, I'm happy to stick around and help out. So I'm not sure if there's any questions I might have missed. I see a few questions might have come in. So if I did miss anyone's question, if you want to throw it in the chat, let me know. I'm trying to read those questions and get up to you or help you out with all that stuff. So the website for cross promoting is IFTTT.com. I'll throw it in the chat as well. So IFTTT. I see someone's asking, my site displays a cookie acceptance dialog first, so Google thinks it's mobile friendly. How do I hide the dialog? You might have to ask your web developer. That might be in your coding. I'm not sure how that was set up, but every website's different. You're gonna just have to go in. If it's on WordPress, it might be a plugin, but it seems like something might be coded in there. Is a backlink, so I see Bridget asking, what is a backlink? And a backlink is a clickable link on another website that points to yours. So if, let's say we're on the latimes.com, you're reading the LA Times, and in there it says SEO optimizers, and you click on that and it takes you from the LA Times to my website, SEO optimizers. That would be a backlink pointing to my website.